have just arrived at Sandoz Laboratories, one of the world's leading pharmaceutical factories. The mission: corner the market on the world's supply of a powerful new psychoactive drug. Has just authorized the purchase of 10 kilograms of pure LSD-25, enough to dose more than half the population of the United States.
They gave it to George White and let George start dosing people.
George Hunter White, a larger-than-life undercover federal narcotics agent. Unbeknownst to his supervisors, White also works for the CIA. His job: to conduct experiments for an operation called Midnight Climax.
George had a CIA safe house stocked with booze. George would sit behind this one-way mirror, drinking martinis, sitting on a portable toilet. If he had to take a leak, he didn't want to get up and leave.
White pays prostitutes to lure their clients to the agency's safe house.
Hookers who would bring these suckers back to the apartment and dose them with pure LSD-25.
This is where I have my effect, in the mind.
This is lysergic acid diethylamide, better known as acid. The powerful drug was first synthesized in 1938 in Switzerland. With a dose of mere micrograms, the mind becomes confused. Perception is distorted. Personal identity is called into question. The results can be euphoric bliss or deadly panic. White takes meticulous notes and files his reports to his CIA handlers.
So that was how LSD was introduced to this country.
Operation Midnight Climax is part of a larger top-secret CIA program called MKUltra. The goal: learn how to control and even reprogram people's minds. The CIA believes LSD might hold the key. Over the next 10 years, the agency doses a cross-section of the American public. Everyone from unwitting housewives to soldiers to even criminals like gangster Whitey Bulger is tested.
You know, what the CIA really dreamed of was sort of like a drug you could give to someone, get them to commit all sorts of unspeakable acts, and they wake up the next day and they don't remember what they've done.
They were looking into brainwashing. They were looking into mind control. They were looking into how they could create what they called Manchurian candidates. They were trying to figure out if they could get people to go out and do things that they would ordinarily not do, like assassination.
The case of MKUltra has to be one of the craziest cases of blowback in CIA history, because here they took this drug, LSD, and thought that they were going to be able to use it to control people's minds, and the unbelievable irony is that LSD is a drug that does exactly the opposite. It frees your mind and causes people to question authority.
Turn on, tune in, drop out.
The CIA's attempt to control people turned out to be just the opposite. It created the counterculture as we know it of the 60s. It was the CIA that introduced LSD to the United States.
And in 34 days, Dr. Stickler said, there had been tunnels under that school. They were covered up, and they were covered in. An informant of mine told me that there was an abandoned satanic site in Crestline, California, up in the mountains. I went up into the mountains and obtained photographs, of the site. I have a lecture that I give where these pictures are available. It's called Gunderson Chronicles number 2. It's a 4-hour lecture that I gave in Kansas City a number of years ago, which shows this abandoned site and also pictures from the McMartin Tunnel school dig.
Good evening. As you all can imagine, this is a very difficult and emotional topic for me to discuss because I am the mother of that complaint of case number 16. And I am very unhappy with Mr. Jenico's report. I think it has a lot of bias, misogyny, and supports patriarchy. I would call your attention to the uploaded documents. There are 61 pages. Pages 1 through 11 are the heart and bones of my complaint on this auditor's report. And if you look at 60 and 61, I do know that a retired police chief of 41 years, did write in, and he was very eloquent when he described how this report does not get to the heart and bones of the matter. Nowhere in your report, Mr. Janico, did I see that you recommend prosecution for violations of California Penal Code 832.7F1 that was published in your second report that we heard in chambers in February. Nowhere in your report did you recommend prosecution for 18 U.S.C. 241 and 242 violations, which is kidnapping under color of law. And my child was wrongfully beaten, strangled. Nowhere do you mention Ruben Badeo kneeling on her neck. And then you seek to shame her for defending herself, and you claim that she was assaultive to the police after they strangled her, tore her away from her mom. Nowhere do you put in the report that the dad drove from 3 counties away and perpetrated violence to us. You couch it as if it was just an arrest warrant, as if that gives any man wearing a badge and a gun to beat up an innocent woman and child. What about VAWA? Where was VAWA and this mental health worker? My daughter and I have family members in the area. Where was the decision to put her in the care of a trusted family member instead of locking an innocent child away for 3 days and then putting her into a psychiatric control program with MKUltra and child threats with the reunification therapy of the other 2 children who've been kidnapped in Santa Cruz? And all of you here have been ignoring it. And this is not okay. I reject this report. It's a disgrace. It's shameful. You should be fired. Read all the comments, because my complaint was 358 pages long with hundreds of pages of supporting documents of nefarious behavior by many people. This is unacceptable. No more kidnapping children, and you guys need to do your jobs and rescue my daughter and the missing 2 other Lane kids.
Anyone else online?
MKUltra was a top-secret CIA program that ran from the 1950s to the 1970s. The program's goal was to develop mind control techniques using drugs, hypnosis, and other methods. The program involved experiments on unwitting subjects, including prisoners, mental patients, and even government employees. The CIA also experimented with LSD, a powerful hallucinogen, on hundreds of people without their knowledge or consent. One notable victim was Frank Olson, a scientist who was secretly given LSD and later died under mysterious circumstances. Some of the techniques developed through MKUltra were later used in real-world operations, including interrogation methods used in the War on Terror. The program's legacy has sparked debates about the ethics of using torture and other forms of coercive interrogation, as well as the responsibility of governments to protect the human rights of their citizens. The program's existence was not revealed to the public until the 1970s, and many of its records were destroyed. The true extent of the program's activities may never be fully known.
In 1953, Frank Olson plunged to his death from a hotel window in Manhattan. In 1975, a CIA report on Project MKUltra, aka their mind control project, revealed that Frank Olson's death had not been a suicide. The family dug deeper and deeper and finally discovered that a week before Frank's death, he'd gone on a retreat with CIA agents. One evening, they spiked his drink with LSD. The CIA agreed to pay Frank's family $750,000 to make up for Frank's misadventure. But a second autopsy in the 90s revealed that Frank was probably thrown out the window. Nesting lies, lies of commission, lies of omission. Like we were definitely to blame for Frank's death, but not that much. You know, that's why cuffs technology has to be used by people in all positions of power. It would set all these conflicts to rest.
So they say that this whole thing ended in 1973. You're mentioning how, I mean, even celebrities now, especially the children that are being groomed in Hollywood and all that are going under this. How do you think, if in any way, this evolved, and is it more so on the female side, more so on the male side, or sort of equal in distribution?
It's all across the board, and especially targeting our children. We need to understand that this new world order that's trying to be this great reset, whatever they want to call it, that they're trying to usher in, it's a slave society agenda, and our children are being targeted. They're being trafficked. The funding mechanism for this dark slave society agenda is drug and human trafficking across open borders. Our children are being groomed and conditioned in the school system and being indoctrinated to be little robots. And we need to realize this, get truth back in education. We have such a vast majority of us on a global scale that it's inexcusable that we allow this to go on any further. It's our time. It's our time to gather our strength of spirit, start protecting our children.